XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Dayone, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support.
Yo, bet you weren't expecting to see me, huh? Hello and welcome to another episode of XboxEra's Headlines. It is the date of July 18th, 2024. I'm not Sick Mechanico, I'm Aarsal Soulblazers, and today Jesse and I will be talking through all the latest in gaming news from across the industry. Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, PC, Ouya, Steam, who am I missing here?
Yeah,
Epic.
We're all about Steam now. Thanks, Valve.
Yeah, well, we're one of your 79 employees. As a bonus for our wonderful patrons, we'll make an audio-only version of these episodes available to them via Patreon for their preferred use in whatever podcast app they use. And if you want to become one of those patron legends, simply head over to patreon.com/XboxEra, and every little bit helps. Keep us doing these fun things and not just friggin' website news posts 24/7.
Yeah, it's not the most. SEO grind isn't the most fun. How you doing, Aarsal?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Jesse. I'm friggin' face hurts because I had like a weird massage thing. But other than that, I'm good. How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing well. I'm very tired. Thankfully,
Did you get enough sleep?
I did. Yesterday was a fun day. This came in which makes it feel more real that I'm going to Germany because I now actually need a UK and EU plug. So I got this all set up for all my shit I'm going to be bringing when we go to Gamescom.
First international travel, period, right?
Yep.
Oh, man. Oh, that's going to be a fun time. You have your passport yet, or? I think he's checking on his animal companions. In the meantime, the past few days haven't been too hectic news-wise, so we'll just cover what we have. I was asking Jesse, you got how's your passport stuff going? Well,
done. Got it all set.
Done.
Yeah, I've actually had that for a couple months. I wanted to get that one out of the way because whenever anything involves the U.S. government, you want to give it a long birth time-wise, because otherwise chances are very likely that it won't be done quickly, no matter what. So,
with that passport, you can come up to Canada too. At some point.
I can come up to Canada just by driving if I wanted, but that's I can fly now, which would be way easier. When I used to live near Boston, driving was no problem. A couple hours, you just go over to New York, head up to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, like 5 hours maybe, but driving now would be like 35
hours.
No,
not to mention the flights from Florida are for some reason really cheap. I don't know
because
Windsor and Florida have
one of the main destinations for vacations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like people just are always flying it so they can keep it nice and cheap because you don't need to desperately try and fill seats on planes. Thankfully, so I'm flying from Tampa to London, spending a couple days at John's place, and then we all fly over to Cologne, which the flight from Tampa to London was like as cheap as me going to Boston. It was very lucky.
Yeah, right?
It was not bad. I guess there are also a lot of those, too, because there's a lot of people that travel down here. And, it was even cheaper if I drove all the way to Orlando, but that was going to be a big pain in the ass. It was like, that's like 4 hours, depending on the traffic.
Yeah, Orlando Airport's really cheap.
Yeah, but it's been a crazy busy week, as you know, because you Got multiple
Finally
reviews
delivered.
videos out. One of them, your own review for Bow Path of the
Path-
Teal Lotus.
Yep, this game came out of nowhere. You randomly
I
pinged, hey, you
got
want
a
to review
random
this?
email that
Yeah.
I was like, this game is like really pretty, like Hollow Knight, and I know who really likes Hollow Knight on the team, so let me ask. Who's that?
Yeah, no, good call. And like Hollow Knight is definitely understating it. Like a lot of it is like just straight up. We even has the loading screen where your character is running across the side. I started this game. It looks beautiful. Looks breathtaking. Immediately, I'm like, oh, this is kind of just Hollow Knight in a Japanese setting. But Bow Path of the Teal Lotus absolutely holds its own. It brings its own unique things to the table. It's a mix of Ori. It has like a 1 or 2 chase sequences almost. There's a sequence near the very end of the game that's like a little bit of a twist on the chase sequence, and it was just really, really well done.
Are
Honestly,
you the
fantastic.
chaser instead of the chasee?
Maybe.
That's yes.
Yeah. But it's also pretty cheap. It's like 20 US, came out of nowhere. I reviewed it. I really liked it. Like I generally don't give too high scores. I'm not sure if I have a 10 because the scoring is stupid, whatever. But as I was reviewing this game and writing my review, I a 9 was what I was thinking. But then the more I wrote it and the more I kind of just kept playing, I'm like, man, I really like this thing. And it didn't have too many flaws. It was short, it's cheap. Also, I'm not judging it off in like an $80 game, right? 20 US, that comes into a little bit into my how I look at things, especially the team size, 4 people, core team, you know, like very similar to Hollow Knight in that sense. And Hollow Knight, my issue with Hollow Knight, and I think you'd agree with me, is that it's a little too bloated and it takes too long to get going.
Yeah, it's
had
really
neither of
big,
those
and a lot of people who have played it a bunch and absolutely adore it know exactly where they're going to go to make it fun.
Yes.
Because you can make that game is unbelievably fun once you unlock certain things and get to certain places, and then it's incredible. But until you get there, especially like your first time playing it, most people bounce off because you have no idea how to get there or what to do. It's super obfuscated, all those issues it has. So having something a little smaller in scope like this for this style sounds intriguing because Hollow Knight is
very
enormous.
Highly recommend it to anyone who liked Hollow Knight or Ori. I honestly thought it'd review really well across the board, but some of the reviews, like Eurogamer and some other ones, I kind of feel like, okay, this sounds a little arrogant almost, but like, get good, you know, like the game is not bad controls. The controls are super fluid and smooth. You just gotta get better at them, you know. Like I don't know, maybe they didn't play with game mode on is my thinking. But yeah, that's what I reviewed over the weekend. I did the review for Genghis's Magical Delicacy, which is on Game Pass today, I believe, or yesterday. He liked it.
Reviewed quite well. He's one of the lowest ones.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, it was mid-80s. It was like 84 when I looked at it yesterday, and he gave it a 7. Not every game's going to click with everyone, and people never get that. Like, they always want to think, well, you just hate it, or your haters like, well, no, I didn't like it. Yeah, it's an 84 on OpenCritic right now.
Wow, that's way higher than I expected.
It only has 11 reviews. So
okay,
that has also been a thing I have really noticed is that most of the big sites don't review jack shit anymore.
Yeah,
like it's really weird how little gets covered. So neither of us have played this one. Just showing it on stream for people to see. It is one of the 5 Game Pass day 1 drops this single week. So I know a lot of people like, wow, the second wave is not good enough. And it's like, it's got 5 day 1 games, and then they teased more coming, which most people seem to assume is going to be Modern Warfare 3, which they wanted to wait on and push away because otherwise it would completely envelop and smother all of these other games. So it gets its own week or 2, you know. But yeah, so 5 things. We reviewed all of them. John did Flock and Dungeons of Hinterberg, which just went live. You can check out the podcast on Saturday for more of John's opinions on Dungeons of Hinterberg. I did, Jesus Christ, there's so many this week. I did Flintlock.
Knitsugami.
Yeah, Knitsugami, the Path of the Goddess, and Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn. Adored Knitsugami. Enjoyed Flintlock. Flintlock is not reviewed well. The issue, I think, is it's just the core gameplay isn't tight enough. It's not bad, but it's not great feeling. And you have to explore everything to get the most out of that game, and it does not tell you that. So I'm not going to blame anyone who didn't do that.
Exploring as in like you get like upgrades to your abilities, things like that.
It's the only way to unlock gear. Like You'll get a
Oh, okay.
little bit of gear on the golden path, but otherwise you're gonna have the same one axe. You're gonna have the same couple of guns. You're
Oh,
gonna have
well, that's interesting.
yeah, like you're not gonna have any helmets or shoulders or gloves. Like you have to go out to find everything. It wants you to do that. It's a lot like Ashen, their other game,
Okay.
but it doesn't tell you that explicitly. So if you
I
don't
think
do it,
maybe
like
Block might have been a victim of its own really successful marketing, you know,
mhm,
where like the marketing make it seems like a really high budget AA game,
yeah,
um, super action heavy, whatnot. While the actual game might be a little more, on the indie side ish.
yeah, I don't. There's no way
Definitely
this
gonna
one had
play.
a big budget. It looks okay. Like
Yeah.
graphically, the art style's really cool. I like it quite a bit with its like Baroque, Napoleonic era,
Yeah.
alt Earth type thing. It's very much its own thing. There's lots of lore to go over and stuff. It's super fun to play overall, but yeah, you have to be willing to grind out levels to get abilities because without those abilities, it's not nearly as enjoyable. It gets a little repetitive. There's a huge unlock system. It's not really a skill tree. It's not an RPG at all. It is very much that Souls light thing where
Yes.
it takes some things from the Souls games, but there's no stamina. Like
I was watching some gameplay and it looked a little bit like Wo Long almost in a sense in
yeah,
terms
it's
of like
more an
its
action
level structure.
game with
Yeah.
the lack of stamina where you can attack all the time and enemies will attack through you more. Like lower level ones will get stunned and not attack if you're hitting them, but the higher ones you have to know they're just going to keep attacking. So you got to be ready to either parry or dodge or
Yeah.
shoot them because that's like the main way
That
to
makes
stop them in an attack. It's a little Bloodborne-esque in that way. But yeah,
What else did you review this week, Jesse?
the highest scored one was just put out last night and has been by far thankfully our
Yes.
most successful review in a while.
Once again, the bet paid off, huh? Like,
Yeah, it was well, I had a thing yesterday and I couldn't really get to this one until a lot later than I was going to because this came in around 11-ish or no, this came in around 10. But the embargo had been for an hour and a half earlier yesterday and I didn't see any reviews anywhere for Nobody Wants to Die. Small game from a Polish team, their first debut title. It is a narrative puzzler, essentially. There's no action or anything. It is. There are scenes where you've got a gun you can choose. It's very David Cage-esque, where like there is stuff going on. You're in first person. You're moving around this you're moving around a real environment. It's not some visual novel thing. Beautiful, looks really nice. Some of the human models, like the faces and stuff, don't look the best, but like the actual cityscape and stuff, the way they've tricked it into feeling huge, because like this game is not a big budget game. It's not some huge team, but it feels big because they're really smart at making everything feel that way.
that makes sense.
Oh,
I
just got
have
Steam
a
code that
feeling.
John asked for. If John's
Nice.
watching, gonna put it in your DMs.
Okay, I have a feeling we're gonna see a lot of reviews coming for this quick because I remember Nobody Wants to Die as being pretty not acclaimed, pretty anticipated. I checked right now the IGN trailer from 4 months ago. It's 2 million views, but I guess just they gave the code so late that not
It
everyone's
almost feels like
machine
nobody
you.
got it early. At least
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
the bigger sites are not covering a ton video game review wise anymore. I imagine it's not the most profitable. There's more money in media reviews, which is why you see like IGN does so many TV shows and movies. But Nobody Wants to Die is set in 2329 in like a future, not going too great New York, super polluted. It's this weird 1930s or 40s-ish aesthetic future, kind of like it is very much a noir Sam Spade detective novel like approach
And it's not
to the
too
future.
linear in terms of story.
It is extremely linear, but you
Sorry,
make
in
choices.
terms of like choices. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, so you will have choices as you go through the story. You have choices that you need to know. You need to figure out what's going on because your choices will affect what you have available to you at the end. Because the end always goes in one direction.
Okay.
So the end always goes in one area, but depending on how you have done as a player, you just might be stuck into a bad ending because you made so many bad choices that you don't know reality essentially and what's going on. So it gives you the replay for that. There's a lot of different. I also made sure I put the C word into the review when it got yelled out. So depending on what you choose, reality will shift and distort. And so it gives you that replay value because it's about 4 to 5 hours to beat, especially if you're going through a second time. You can probably get through it in a couple hours because you know exactly what to do. There were a lot of endings. I went through and I got like 5, and they're like variations on each other. They're not all completely different. And then I saw there were even more than that, like online. Only $22 too.
I'm debating picking that up. I mean, like, I like short games, dude.
Yeah, it looks incredible. It looks really good. I played in performance mode. There is a fidelity mode, and as it's not a shooter or anything,
you played on the Xbox?
Yes, I did.
That's impossible. People say you only play on PC.
I know, but it's funny. I just got a PC code for this, but I got it for John because I knew he would want to play it and talk about it. But looks really good. Has performance or quality mode. It is not a shooter, so quality mode is probably fine, I think, for most people because it does look a little better. Though it's not nearly as smooth, obviously, so that's going to matter more for people like me who have become frame rate whores. But it is a full-on puzzler, full-on. It's not like super hard puzzles, but it's just like this. You are part of a detective noir novel, essentially, set in a weird, altered carbon almost future, like Dark City. It's kind of weird. There's this whole immortality system where they can read
like
your
very
brain.
Altered Carbon, like
they can read your brain, yoink your brain out, and put you into a new body. It's decently new tech. It's like a couple 100 years old, and your character is over 100 years old. You're on your 4th body. But yeah, it's really good.
That's actually super cool.
Enjoyed it a lot. Was very happy. I streamed the first 2 hours yesterday and was like, oh my god, this is because normally if somebody sends you something super late, you wrongfully assume because it doesn't mean it. But I just assumed, oh, maybe it's not that good. But no,
or broken is my assumption.
Or it's going to be in rough shape. But nope, it was pretty great. So yeah, there's a ton of content on the site right now. We have put out and
John has his another 1v1 as well with the developers of Interberg.
Yep. And that one is up. I don't know. I forget about how long it is, but it was a good interview. I was there recording it and setting it all up. But yeah, so tons of content on XboxEra.com. We were the news for once by covering other people's stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into the headlines episode for today and the various news pieces. It hasn't been too much, especially nothing really juicy in the past couple of days.
That's why we just talked so much.
Exactly. And we have our list. We'll go through it. Okay. So starting off is the thumbnail of the episode, which is a Deadpool and Wolverine Xbox collab with another sweepstakes. Sadly, nothing you can buy yourself for a custom console and a custom controller. Now, the controller is making some waves and also shows why these kind of partnerships, even though they're not like you can buy it, are such a big deal and do work well. Jesse, why is this controller making so many impressions?
Not only does the front look cool, but the back has a booty. So yeah, part of the sweepstakes is you get this cool looking console with the double katanas on the back and all that jazz with the Wolverine and Deadpool skin on the front.
Yeah.
But the big thing everyone's losing their minds over is that the controller, while it looks really cool, also has a butt. It is a very unique mold. Yeah, it's double cheeked up. So
I wonder how. Yeah, definitely not a controller to use and play. I feel because I feel like it might affect.
Because it would feel really that controller's a showpiece. Because the front looks really cool, but even then, you've got all the straps and everything that's not going to feel great to hold on to.
Yeah.
So real neat. They do these generally in very. It's a friggin' one of one. It's the only one. So people are like, I would buy this, and it's like they have all the info and know from all the bajillion 360 and Xbox One limited editions and stuff they did that not enough people buy them, or else they would still do them. I promise.
And I imagine all these like really custom ones, the logistics of making them is they're a bit more difficult, more expensive. Not difficult, more expensive. It's all money again.
Yeah, because like this is not the normal mold on the back, so they've got to have a new mold for here that goes into this. Like all of this stuff is one of one. Like they just or two of two for the controller, and then 1 of 1 for this. It's just a wrap, and then the katanas for the Xbox. So that wouldn't be too much.
Yeah.
I do hope that they get back to their wraps system. We haven't seen a new one in a while, and I really like the Starfield one that's on mine. It's super high quality, and I'm hoping they start doing more for all their games releasing throughout the year and whatnot, but it's been weird.
Thinking
maybe they
they'll
didn't sell great. I don't know.
Maybe there's still. Personally, I thought maybe the wrap is like an experiment for their upcoming consoles as something to have going bigger. Then maybe the digital only one might have. I don't know. I hope so too, because they're a cool idea.
Yeah, the digital only one is the same shape. It just would then have it would have a slit for a disk drive that's not there. That'd be the only difference.
Yeah. Okay. That was that. Coming up next is something that was rumored a few days ago because we saw some screenshots.
Yeah, it was starting to show up in some areas for people. Like it just started working on their website early.
But now Xbox have officially said they've enabled GeForceNow integration straight onto the console, which launches supported games on GeForceNow. I haven't tried it myself yet.
It is so it's just the website, like store pages.
It's just a website, right?
Yeah, so the store pages, when you go on there, play with cloud, you can choose play with GeForceNow, and then it literally shows the link thing. So it just then immediately brings you over to the GeForceNow page, and you can start playing. GeForceNow is a subscription for the good tier. They have a free tier where you can play a little bit on a weaker system, if memory serves. And then if you want,
it's limited time, and even getting into that free subscription, I think, isn't open for everyone. There's like a waiting period or something like that. When I tried signing up a little while ago, because I wanted to test it, because I've heard so many great things about it, but it is a pretty expensive service.
I used it in one place; it was incredible. Felt like native. I did another cloud thing yesterday that felt like native, but then depending on what hops you're going through, where you are, it can feel like shit. Like it is a total crapshoot when you're going through the internet as to what latency you are going to get. So,
I mean, people are used to that even in streaming, but in streaming, all that happens is it looks a little blurrier. In gaming, it's artifacts everywhere and lack of control.
Yeah, unless it really drops down to a super low resolution and that can compensate, it's going to then get a little bit of lag to look decent.
Yeah.
That's one thing we've seen with xCloud. A lot of people complain it's too fuzzy and whatnot. And it's like, it's until it becomes some big thing, I think they're going to stick with the Series S profiles because it just uses a lot less energy. So,
like, would I like xCloud to have a 4K option or to look better? 100%, definitely, right? But it's just a matter of xCloud is an additive service right now to a subscription. There is no way, at least that I know,
if they hadn't had that stupid CMA deal, it would probably be a better service.
100%.
It would have all those
100%.
ABK games coming to it, and they would have an incentive to make it as great as they can. But the CMA, in their infinite wisdom, wanted to make the service worse, make those games available to far less people, and this is what we get.
Yep.
Had to have
for
their
15
win.
years. But
and those games are forever. Those games are any game that had come out previously from Activision, Blizzard, or King, or Activision, Blizzard, and any game over the next 15 years after that.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Also, just because they're adding the GeForce Now option does not mean they're never going to upgrade their own xCloud. That's not the equivalence there. And more options is a good thing, not a bad thing. GeForce Now is a great service. Getting it in more places is cool. And getting more people using cloud itself is, I think, the idea, which we'll talk about later.
It is an idea, but I'm really curious. Actually, we should make that should just be the next one.
Yeah, actually, we should, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like cloud is too expensive. Like that is just the rub that ends up being where all these people are like, we're going to build all this stuff and then you just use ours. And then they're like, oh shit, we now have to pay for all of this local compute and it's really expensive and it gets super hot and then we have to pay to cool it down. And oh my God, this is actually really hard to make money with, which is why they haven't gone like higher fidelity on xCloud, most likely is because it's already super expensive. Like they said during the FTC trial, Sarah Bond was saying we lose money every time someone uses it, essentially. Because it used to be Series X. You used to get Series X all the time, but now you just pretty much get Series S profiles.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It still is really useful in a lot of ways. You want to try out something, you want to play a game for an achievement or something like that. Super useful. But yeah, the next the story piece, which relates directly with this, is that Microsoft, they already partnered officially with Amazon to get xCloud on. I'm just gonna call it xCloud. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
On the Fire Sticks, the 2023 and onward models. Well, now they're also selling a specific bundle that comes with the Fire Stick, with an Xbox controller, and a month of Game Pass for new subscribers. Game Pass Ultimate, obviously.
Yeah,
This
it'd be
is
funny if it was a Game Pass tier that did not have cloud.
right. Yeah. This is again another, I think, first step to try and get more people just into the idea of cloud streaming, especially more the layman. Because a Fire TV stick is big. A lot of people use them.
Hmm.
And it's a step showing that they're moving towards this aspect of xCloud being an app, not a device, which is definitely the smarter decision, in my opinion, for
Mhm.
sure. Like,
It can be both once it's big enough to support a device. Kind of like, as long
yeah,
as
that's
it's
true.
this
Yeah,
thing that can still do other stuff. Like just have it be
like Apple's
it's
box,
your own little
right?
box. That's a little Xbox UI, so you get all the Xbox apps like Netflix and YouTube and all that stuff. But then it only does cloud gaming. That's what they were going for. If they could
Mm,
ever make that work,
yeah,
money
yeah.
wise. But the Xbox Quest 3 cloud bundle was just a Quest 3 that looks like an Xbox. I think it's not an actual
Mm,
Xbox product.
yeah.
They're not getting into VR. VR is pretty dead. Um, outside of Quest only stuff. But the big thing for this one is people are like, "Oh, this no console required thing." Is like, yeah, because it's
Hmm.
aimed at all the people that weren't buying consoles of any type.
Yep.
You're like, and I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but they should just use GeForce. That's better. It's like, yeah, but that's more complicated. That's piecemeal. You might get a little bit of stuff here and there with like Luna, but even that, they want this
So
incredibly easy overall package that you can spend $20 on, and it just gives you like a ridiculous amount of games. That's it. Like
yeah,
just get in
it'd be like
easy.
people saying, "Hey, I'm getting Netflix," and they're like, "Hey, don't get Netflix. Get Netflix and a monthly payment to a TV." Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, GeForce Now is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
you can't just get GeForce Now and start playing games. You need to get GeForce Now and either own the games or then get Game Pass on top of that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
it's the ease of entry is what they're going for. They are going for the
yeah,
casual. I'm never going to buy a console fan. Like that is what they're
hmm
going for. They will still
like
have
this
their
specific
hardware and
bundle.
stuff for the people who want hardware, but that's not this.
Also, this kind of bundle makes a great gift, which is relatively inexpensive too. Which I know people don't think about much, but as we approach holiday season, that becomes a really big factor.
Hmm.
Getting xCloud onto the Fire Stick itself does appeal to a lot of people. It appeals to me. I have a Fire Stick. I can pop on my living room TV. You know, where I used to have my Stadia hooked up a little bit. That's awesome. But something like this, where it's here, controller, Game Pass, Fire Stick, all in one. You want to play some games when you're curious? Check this out. It's a really good idea.
Yep. I mean, it's in a time of desperately trying to find growth. It seems like one of their better attempts to do so with what shouldn't be harming to their
Exactly. Yeah.
brand, but people seem like punch drunk from bad news of leaks more than bad news of actual things happening. Like
I don't understand.
so much of the overall negativity around the platform ends up being insider stuff, like insider rumors, and they've been wrong a ton lately,
100%.
and they've been right
100%.
a bunch. But it's this their messaging's bad. And it's like, well, they don't. The bad part of their messaging is that they leak so much that they don't get to message. Because when they do message, it's normally fine. Like most people didn't actually care that Game Pass Ultimate went up. They were expecting it because
Yep.
they are used to being shit on by every friggin' subservice. Like it's just the way of the world right now until one day where they start going too far and numbers start dropping. But even like people say, oh, I'm not going to have Netflix anymore. They don't let you share. And like, no, their numbers went up. They went way up.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
Like it sucks. It sucks that it worked, but it did. So I blame you. Also, we did miss a super chat from Mohammed Sherez earlier.
Oh, we did. Holy crap. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I just see it now. Yeah, we have a super chat from Mohammed Sherez. Thanks, Mohammed. As much as I love No Man's Sky, the update is amazing. The negative articles comparing No Man's Sky and Starfield is like comparing a plant with a giraffe.
Mm-hmm. They are not the same type of game, even though they both have space in them. They're very different.
Very different games. No Man's Sky did have a big update though. I'm not sure if that's on our docket because honestly, I don't really play the game.
It's not. There's
Um,
just they have so many, and I haven't
yeah,
kept up with them that I didn't really know how to talk about it. Other than it seems very big. So if you're into No Man's Sky,
yeah.
it'll be another thing to get into, and then play dozens of hours to see any of the differences in, which is why I gave up. Because if you don't, it's tough. Like they add so much stuff, and then there are some ways you can find them, but if you want to use your save and find them, it's a pain. I don't know.
I mean, I've seen like friends play No Man's Sky, and I played it a little bit, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm traveling from here to here. It's taking me 10
It's
minutes.
a survival crafting game. Like it is a survival crafting exploration game, and they keep adding more stuff to it. But to see the new stuff, you need to change a bunch. But yeah, it's really
I'll
good. I've
take a
got
look
over
at
100
this
hours.
update for sure.
But yeah,
But yeah, don't worry, console's not going anywhere. These are all additive options, guys. Will the future in 20, 25 years be more cloud heavy? Probably, I want to say. I think the future will be, hey, you pop on if TVs are still a thing, you get your controller, that's it, you're playing. That's not for a long time. Everything's still additive. Nothing to worry about. Okay, next thing up, which is actually kind of related to this too, in terms of, hey, once again,
that's why I moved it up.
oh, you did? Okay, I was gonna say because I had that lower. You can sell consoles and you can also sell software and cloud stuff all at once. There's no official reporting yet, but Insider Gaming reported that the sales numbers for the Xbox Series S have been as high, if not higher, than at any point aside from the console's release window. And this is explicitly concerning the college football game. Is it just called college football?
College football 25.
College Football 25, the first game in that series in like 10 years, widely anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the kicker. Pun was not intended, but I'll intend it. Here's the kicker. It is a current gen only game.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? A current gen only game that's popular releases. And whoa, the Xbox Series S starts to do well. Who could have saw that coming? Right?
It is the cheapest way for people who hadn't upgraded yet to finally do it. Like,
yep.
And that's been a big deal. It is what they were going for originally. It's always tough to know exactly what it's going to be outside of Grand Theft Auto next year is going to move consoles. It's going to move all three.
100%.
Might move PlayStation the most if they've got the marketing, but it is going to move consoles. But everyone's like, oh, why didn't you just do this before? It's like, this is a generational game, College Football 25. Literally haven't had one since the last generation, over a decade. Was a big thing that kind of died out because football players are or most college athletes are like, hey, you keep making billions off of us, and then we're not allowed to even work at Taco Bell. This is bullshit. So now they can finally get paid. I'm sure the system's not great.
And for those listening who are not American, college football is a very big deal in America. Which you wouldn't think so because you're thinking, yeah, aren't they just a bunch of students? No.
I see that. Isn't there like some 16-year-old who's like taking the football world by storm? Soccer.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Soccer has super young athletes all the goddamn time, and no one cares. But yes, this is college athletes, so the ages of 18 to 22. Though it can be older if you like red shirt, which is you sit a year out and you stay in college an extra year or two.
Okay.
But yeah, college football is enormous, especially in the southern third of the U.S. It's super big down here. And
I mean, it's a fun thing, right? You go watch your local team play, and it's a fun event. It's kind of, I imagine how like Nick watches his local city play, right? Like every week, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's all about like I live in this area, I like this team type of thing, or just like I like the colors. Like it doesn't. Who cares why? In the end, it's just sports, and either you went there, you didn't go there. You know someone who went there. There was a player on there when you were growing up you really liked, so you just love that team. And college football is a more
fun,
dynamic version of American football because you have such a wide swath of talent because there's over 100 teams in Division One. So obviously there's only 30-something teams in the NFL. You only get a tiny percentage of the top college players who make it to the NFL. Yeah. So people like college football because it's just this big thing where you've got your dominant teams, but even then they can still lose, and it's crazy offensive focused most of the time. So and this game is very pretty.
It kind of sounds like T20 in cricket compared to like one day or test matches, where they're like the shorter matches. There's more about just smacking it, having a good time, compared to something more professional.
Yeah, and
I don't know. It is still professional, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, with Up from Pop Warner, like young kids to high school to college, like that is football in most of the South. And then the NFL, they all love Dallas, and Dallas always sucks, so it's hilarious. But yeah, this game has been enormous. There was it's only in its week-long buy the extremely expensive edition.
And people are liking
play the
it,
trial.
I feel, right?
Oh yeah, but it shows you how many people are online at one time, and it's been like 800,000, even though
Holy crap,
it's
damn.
only super early expensive access right now. It hasn't come out in full yet. But yeah, let's get a freaking ad.
Yeah.
And now sports is nothing but goddamn betting. Like it is just
Yes,
insane
yes,
how
that
much
part annoys
betting
me,
has
man.
taken over sports. It is
Yeah.
horrible. But yeah, big time. Like high school basketball is not super big, but high school football, that is the one that is really big down here for some reason, and then it only gets bigger at college for most people.
What was I gonna say? It's when we say that it's moving Series S units, that doesn't mean it's not moving PlayStation.
It's
Of
moving
course it
everything.
is,
Yeah, that's
right?
the thing.
It's moving
Like,
everything.
Yeah.
It's moving everything. But the difference is that the Series S is its appeal, right? Was always as an accessible entry point into this generation.
Mhm.
But now 4 years in, and we barely had any big current gen only games, and we kind of won't. Not until next year. I was surprised this was even current gen. I thought this would be in everything, like everything is these years, right? But we saw
I
it.
guess when they're rebuilding something like that from the ground up,
Yeah,
and they're not just
yeah.
iterating, then they just were like, nope, we're just going to go next, and
That makes a lot of
it's
sense.
probably done fine. Like I think a lot of the older gen stuff is generally sports or live service focused, so it was a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
But on
Yeah.
the whole, they seem pretty happy. So
A lot of the people that play Fortnite, that play Warzone, that play this are also the crowd that played Madden,
Mhm.
or FIFA, those kind of things. So when eventually
you
those
mean
games
football club?
FC, yeah, sorry. When those games eventually move over, which this I think is the very beginning of that, you will see more people. It won't be 50% on PS5. It'll be like, sorry, PS4. It'll be like 20%. Fast forward 3-4 years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's when the Series S will shine. And I think that's what we all got to kind of keep an eye out for, see whether. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but selling more consoles is obviously a better thing than selling less consoles, in my opinion. So I'm happy to see Series S doing well.
Yep. I mean, the benefit for us is it just keeps investment up in the division. So
Exactly.
the better they do, the more 5 day one drops in a week we can get.
Okay, switching gears a little bit to something gaming related tangibly is Amazon's Fallout TV show has received 16 Emmy nominations.
Mhm.
I was kind of surprised the Emmy nominations are always surprising because they pop up in like the middle of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of
Um,
TV to watch, and I think they actually try to, unlike the Oscars, where most of the voters, I don't think,
Yes.
watch most
Yeah.
stuff. So,
There's a lot of TV. Like this last 12 months have had some
Mhm.
amazing TV to
Well,
watch.
speaking of which, Jesus Christ, I got to get back to. I'll have a review for not gaming related, but a character who's had games. Batman Caped Crusader. They randomly gave me access to it via Amazon, so I'm gonna have a little review out for that when it comes out. I think it comes out beginning of August, so around then.
16 Emmy nominations. I can probably go through all of them, but I really don't need to. I mean,
No, it's
Fallout-
most of a lot of the big ones and stuff. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
super duper successful, and of course, people immediately got shitty about Halo not getting any. It's like Jesus
Of course.
Christ, just
Um,
enjoy this one. It was a great show.
I was gonna say Fallout's like the one show where I think it actually like would fall under the best comedy. You know what I mean?
hmm
Even though it also is clearly a drama, but it's like it's that dramedy that actually fits there.
Yeah.
Other shows do not.
hmm Like the bear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did really well. For those of you who still haven't seen it, give it a watch. Personally, I watched 3 episodes and 4 episodes. I think I still need to watch more. I don't know, it just never kind of like really grabbed me in a way where I got to just keep watching again and again. But I'll probably finish it. It's also super violent,
hmm
very violent.
Oh yeah.
So that yeah. This is technically, and the article mentions this, the second year in a row now where a video game property did really well, Emmy nomination wise. I do think that we're seeing that shift slowly. I'd say next 4 or 5 years away from comic books and more into video game properties for both television and film.
Especially
We'll
because
see.
there are some that are built for it. Like The Last of Us and Fallout were really built for it without being too expensive. Halo could do
Exactly.
it, but Halo Halo doing it the way the games did is unbelievably expensive. I mean, even Fallout was like,
Yep.
it was an insane budget on that show.
And that's a relatively grounded show, all things considered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, all right, moving on from there. So the Xbox 360 Marketplace, which we all know, we've known for a while, is closing. Gets its final price drops before it closes in a little over a week, July 29th. This is kind of like bittersweet. Not everything lasts forever, kind of.
Yeah.
It's how it goes.
I know we've talked with Eden, who works on like the UI team a bunch, and the 360 Marketplace absolutely wrecks their UI stuff quite often. Like it's tough to maintain everything as long as they do. Obviously, from us as fans, we would like it if they just had it forever. What do we care?
I mean,
but the reality of it is that it's incredibly old. If it was making money, they'd keep doing it, but it's probably not. So that's why they end up giving up. And they've been doing this big ass sale. They didn't add a lot in the final wave. They only added like 5 or 6 things. But there's a ton on sale, up to like 95% off. And to celebrate it, the other half of the news that's just like a little thing is they made an Xbox 360 Blades live background. So lightly animates. It's just like a couple little circles in the middle of it, but it's got the Blades look. I wasn't a huge fan of Blades. I liked the way it looked.
Big tabs, vertical tabs.
I did not like using Blades as much as I liked the new Xbox experience, I will say. So while Blades look super cool, and it's cool to have this dynamic background, I guess, I was never actually that big a fan of using it, and I was always confused why people waxed so lyrically about it.
Nostalgia. I mean, Blades is cool. It's great. But these days, your console does a lot more than it did.
Yeah, it does. Like, the system started doing too much for Blades to work right, which is why they changed it. But
one thing, contrary to what Nick believes, keeping up something like this, like the 360 marketplace, is not as simple as just pay some server fees. I mean, if you've ever, and I've barely, but if you've ever dealt with any kind of legacy code or code you did not write yourself, you'll look at it and you'll be like, what the hell is this? Why is this breaking? I don't know why it's breaking. Let me go check through this weird old crap written 15 years ago. Why did they do it like this? Yeah, it's okay. Things can leave. This is 360's old now, guys.
Breaking news: another Xbox limited edition controllers is leaked. The Sky Cipher Special Edition over on Insider Gaming. No idea what it'll look like, but people then get mad and say they can make big controllers. Where the games? And it's like completely different parts of the organization, and they make the controllers because people keep buying them.
That's actually pretty cool. I really like their last special edition. Special edition would be the the one Phil Spencer signed in the back, right? Or I guess anything.
Right there.
Yeah.
Still in the box.
Yeah. Really, it's a good controller. It was a really good controller.
And I got the Starfield headset here in its box. If I didn't get these, I'd use it all the time. But I got these, and I got the friggin' Maxwell's. Yeah. My wife got one of the latest ones. It was like that pink vapory one. That looks really cool.
I'm kind of annoyed. My controllers have stick drift, most of them, and I want a new one. But I also I really want a new controller. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of waiting on that. I was hoping this year. We'll see. Okay. Controllers, 360 marketplaces. Moving on. Ooh, yeah, that one looks really cool. Yeah.
Very pink.
Yeah. I mean, say what you want about the controllers, but having more options is never a bad thing. And also, like, come on, like, just compare. Like, this is wow, look, it's red. Ooh, cool. And I mean, not like a weird shade of red. It's not even a comparison controller wise in terms of custom controllers, how they look.
I am lucky. When they sent this one over for review, they sent me the like retro pinky purpley colorway one that only 1,000 were made of. So I'm like, I'm never getting rid of these.
Headphone?
It does have a this is the Odyssey Maxwell Xbox headset. It does have a slot you can put a microphone in there. It also has the Beam mic. Beam mic sounds terrible. The boom mic they give you sounds okay, not great.
Makes sense. Okay, next up, this game is still just trucking along.
Mhm.
Forza Horizon 5 has another update. This game is like a friggin' like a picture class, almost perfect way of how to do a live service game, kind of without realizing it's a live service game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
hmm
The update, I mean, most of these updates I feel are usually just a new group of cars, maybe another
Mhm.
game mode or
Yeah,
event
they
to
don't do anything crazy. They're just a nice new little reason to either keep going or maybe hop back in.
Yeah. People just enjoy playing the game, right? New reasons to play, new cars to. I think eventually this becomes like a collectathon aspect of it.
hmm
But related to Forza Horizon 5, we did get, again, nothing official, but that little counter for players has now hit 40 million players. I've done this one race. I think
Yep.
I think it's the intro race of the game, or like a race close to the intro.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
got
remember
to get a
exactly.
little bit in to open up the area that's got the leaderboard part, because that's when you
Yes.
can see
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Not 100% sure when you count for the leaderboard, but that is when you can see the leaderboard.
Mm. Yes. And that hit 40 million players, which is a very large number. Like that's only on Xbox and PC as well.
Yeah, I was talking with
There
John
was
about it on Tuesday, and we're like, it makes total sense for the next one of these to be everywhere. It's too big. You will make too much
Yes.
money.
fully honestly, I at the same time you could also argue that considering how well it's doing, this is the one game you don't need to put
Yeah.
everywhere because it's still doing really well.
It goes
But I
both
mean, hey,
ways.
yeah, yeah,
Like if
I
they
could see
do
either
think
way.
it's going to push consoles, then it makes sense. Otherwise, if you can hit 80 million players, then you try and do that.
Well, exactly, right? Especially with a game like this that does have not many microtransactions per se, but it has like car passes you can buy and
Mhm.
DLCs, blah blah blah. I remember I saw a funny tweet in response to the 40 million. They're like, "Oh, this is lies. How can it have 40 million players when there's only 34 million Game Pass subs?" Oh man, people are so stupid, dude. I just had
Well,
to
that's
stop
been,
and
that's
read.
been one of the main things. Like a lot of the comments on awful places like Reset Era, where this just like people are gonna have to go back to buying their games on Xbox, and it's like it's never stopped.
What?
You've never
Yes.
not one of the main benefits you get from Game Pass is that every game on the service is 10% off to buy forever. Like it's always been a thing for
Yep.
buying games
Yep.
on the platform and service.
And they still have really big sales. Speaking of, I guess this wasn't in the docket, but it is relevant. There's a really big Xbox sale happening right now. Ultimate sale or something. Okay, also, what the hell? People have hundreds of games on their wish lists. I did not know that.
I have zero. I had one thing on my wish list years ago, which was the season pass for Doom Eternal, which I then bought when it was
I had
on
that on
sale.
my list for
And
a
I
while,
bought it
yeah.
when it was on sale, and I ended up reviewing both of them. And those reviews paid for the friggin' season pass. Thankfully, they both did like 10K.
Yeah.
But like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
I can understand like having a lot of things you really want to play, but man, hundreds that are, I don't know, that would be
That's
very annoying
crazy.
because you get emails and you get like notifications about it. It's like you just be getting nonstop notifications and stuff. But I guess again,
Yeah.
I am in a position where outside of a very few cases, I can get whatever game I want if I really want it without having to pay. I pay in time, which is very valuable. So, like, yeah, I get the
Yes,
game, but
yeah.
then I have to play the whole. I have to play the whole thing and have a coverage out for it. Like that is the agreement. Like I don't like getting something like this. I have to use it and cover it. It's not just, oh, I got this. I can do whatever I want. It's like, no, they send it for a specific reason, which makes me feel bad because I still haven't done like a full review of the play date. I should. I've talked about it a ton online. I think it's fine.
Yes, yeah, you do keep talking about it.
Yeah. Super fun. Little tiny crank. This is a crank on the side here. $200, but really neat if you're into it. But yeah, when it comes to a lot of these sales, it's just the same stuff over and over again too.
Yes,
You don't see
exactly.
new. It has to be like, oh, this game's now been out for 6 months, or it's an Ubisoft game, so it's been out for a month. Like,
Yeah. There are a couple good sales on this. I'm just taking a quick look at it. Like Street Fighter is half off. That's kind of nice.
yeah, like the newer stuff like that. That
I'd
probably
play it.
does not actually go on sale all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's a big Xbox sale happening. I think it's gonna last usually a week or two. Lasts until July 31st. Take a look. There are some genuinely decent games on sale there. That are worth playing. Okay, all right. Moving on. Sadly, in a more dour note, it looks like an entire build of Space Marine 2 has leaked online and downloadable. I think it's something like 75 gigs. It has like the playable
Hmm.
build and it has the multiplayer in there too and the campaign. Obviously, an early build.
Yeah, they
Focus
said
Entertainment.
yeah,
Yeah.
in this statement they made, they said by the time the game comes out, that build will be almost a year old.
Okay, yeah. That's a while back. Focus Entertainment did release an official statement saying, "Hey, like we know there's something like this out there. Please don't play it, right? Please experience our game the way it was meant to be experienced when we release it, September 9th, not 6th, like your news post has written on it.
Ah,
Um,
I was
something
looking
is
at
releasing
9
on the
upside
6th.
down.
No. Something's definitely coming out on the 6th too, because I was thinking 6 as well. 9's my
Oh,
birthday.
I
Though,
think
so I recognize
it
that
might be
immediately.
Stalker. Stalker's either the 4th or the 6th.
Yes. Stalker's the 6th. Yeah. But yeah, another leak which is
A really
extremely malicious.
random leak too. It just popped
Yeah.
up on trackers, like which I think are for torrents.
Torrent sites. Yeah.
It just popped up. No word. It was just there. Obviously, don't download it because you have no idea what's in it and what it's going to do to your computer. Also, it's bad and illegal to have because it's not something you bought because you can't buy it yet, and you can never buy this version. It's out in a couple weeks or it's out in a couple months essentially.
Yeah. Month and a half.
Looks really good. I'm super interested in it. It's only been Tyranid enemy gameplay. I am curious if there's any orcs in it like the first one.
Because the first one I started playing it was just orcs for the first like 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one was all about the orcs. This one seems to be all about the Tyranids, some more swarmy focus. But Space Marine is like a very melee-focused, Gears of War-ish third-person game. There will be plenty of shooting, I'm sure. They show a lot of it in the gameplay. Looks awesome. And you are not a hero when you are a Space Marine. Just always know that about Warhammer. The Space Marine, the Imperium, they're not the good guys at all. Orcs are
not sure if
better
this
most of the time. Story-wise, yeah.
I haven't looked into too much, but it kind of felt like a world where like there are no real good guys. Like it's just kind of sucky.
Yeah,
like it's not a world you want to live in.
Everything sucks, and people just look at the human giant cool guys and think they're automatically the bestest. But it's like, no, it's actually the story is a lot deeper than that.
The armor is great though. They look super cool.
This game looks amazing. I cannot wait for it. Hoping to get a bunch of copies so we can do co-op. Me, you, John. Cool. I'm sure Nick will beg for one and then never play. Or he'll skip every cutscene when we're trying to play co-op.
From what I know, this is not coming to Game Pass at all.
No, not a Game Pass game. Nope.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones have eventually, like Darktide did, but with Warhammer, they put their license out for a lot of different devs and pubs, so there's never a guarantee.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. And as we wrap up the episode, there's a couple more. We have another Call of Duty season trailer that pissed off more people again. Because this time it is WWE focused, which I guess fits enough for them to do it. They released a trailer for season 5, which is WWE focused, and it also brings back a point of interest from their original Warzone map into the new one they currently have. It's interesting how their updates now are both for Warzone and the current game at like the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's what it is. No matter how much people in our bubble complain, this is what their customers want. People want nonstop IP crossover. It's what it's why Halo can't be as big as it used to be, because the core Halo audience will not accept a bunch of stupid ass IP crossover. You can get some cool stuff, like I hope they do Doom Eternal looks or Doom the Dark Ages Spartan outfit type stuff, or power armor. Like I hope they do that, or they can do Iron Man and a few other things that people would like. But you can't throw Rhea Ripley into friggin' Halo and have their fans not lose their shit. You can't give cell shaded cartoon Gears of War stuff too much, because people will lose their minds.
Dude, Gears 5 had some extremely cool looking skins. I did not know that. I looked at the
and
video,
they actually did a lot with wrestling, but it makes sense because they were very big muscular men, and that is what Gears is all about. Big muscle people.
Though it's not, I feel like it's not just that Halo can't do it, it's also Halo physically cannot do it. The sheer amount of manpower in games like Fortnite and Call of Duty is thousands and thousands of developers or artists working on these things constantly. How do you think Nick knows Fortnite leaks like years in advance? because that's how long these things are friggin' worked on. Like it's crazy, or at least concept phases.
We do have another super chat from the one and only Mohammed Sherez.
Mohammed Sherez, thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws first 10 minutes on IGN? I did see them post it. And I did see, I think Tom Henderson's tweet saying something like, it's hard to believe this game comes out in 6 weeks. It looks kind of rough. And they did. I mean, I've already seen a lot about this game, I'll be honest.
I have no comment.
Yeah.
I haven't
it looks
seen the
cool.
clip.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I'm quite excited. My only issue with Star Wars Outlaws is that it comes out right around Gamescom, which is going to make it quite hard to review. Thankfully, it's like, I'm really hoping that they make the freaking the embargo closer to release than not, because that'll make it easier. But yeah,
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a Star Wars open world Star Wars game. You play as an outlaw. At this point, there's many trailers. There's many
third person shooter,
footage.
lots of stealthy stuff. Set between the second and third movies. So,
that being said, I mean, I'm not going to doubt Massive. I feel like that's
them and their engine Snowdrop is like one of the best. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. If you haven't played it, it's probably one of the best looking games ever. If not the,
people were
it's way up there.
Hating on this game, and then it releases. Digital Foundry releases the video, and immediately they're just waxing it. Like, you know what I mean? Waxing lyrical. Like, because this game looks incredible.
Yeah, and it just got a 40 FPS mode too, so you can have that higher fidelity from the 30, but it locks to 40 and feels pretty good. I was going to review the DLC, but they weren't able to get it to me early. They tried. It just didn't work.
Even the 60 mode still looks pretty good. Because I remember when I played it,
mode looks amazing. But then you get 40, which feels good enough, I think. Yeah. And it does look a little better. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, huge. It is a huge open world Ubisoft map game set in Star Wars, like the dream thing. I think a lot of people want, because no matter how much we argue that these Ubisoft games are getting too big, their biggest one ever was Valhalla. Like, that game sold insane numbers, and it was by far their biggest, most bloated game. And people like that. People like
playing a game for a long time.
They like getting a lot out of their money. And this is a Star Wars game that has all the Ubisoft trappings, like you can look at and mark people through your binoculars, it looks like in the clip. It's a third-person shooter. There is cover, but it doesn't seem like there's a cover button from what I've seen whenever anyone was playing it. People did go into a preview event. I saw Mike Minotti post himself on a speeder bike at it. So hopefully later this month we'll get those previews, because normally they give people time, because you go, you play, they capture your stuff and they send it to you, and they give you time for the preview. So probably later in July for that live preview event. Game looks great. I don't know. I don't care.
You think people would learn the lessons regarding games like dream games, right? You mentioned where it's like, hey, this is a game a lot of people have been wanting to play for a very long time, right? We had a game like that release a couple years ago, or I think it was just last year, and people laughed at it a little bit. But hey, guess what? It ended up outselling Call of Duty that year, right? Of course, I'm talking about I'm talking about Harry Potter. Last year. If so, you have another game like that where it's a game people have been wanting to play for a long time. Never write it out. You know,
people get very we don't get to see enough of game dev, and there's a reason. It's because whenever we do, people then just draw ridiculous conclusions about it, and because they don't understand how it actually works.
It doesn't help that there's this weird prevailing in the last like 4 or 5 years. Oh, Ubisoft only makes the same games. It's an Ubisoft game. Who's buying this? Everyone except you guys.
Yeah.
Everyone except you is buying this. That's just buying it. Okay. That's almost it. I guess we have a couple minutes left.
You can call Concord if you want. Yeah, you do the Concord stuff.
Yeah, we can do the Concord stuff really quick. I didn't play it myself because I don't have a PS Plus subscription anymore, because it kind of wasn't worth it. They'll remind me to physically back up my saves on my PS5 before I sell this thing. Concord had an open-ish beta this last weekend. Quite a few people played it. We got a good amount of impressions out. They've been a little mixed, I want to say. I watched a couple of them. IGN liked it a fair bit. Skill Up didn't. Jack Frags didn't. Those are the few I watched. The general impression seems to be the shooting, or whenever it feels more like Destiny, it's great. It's really good, but the game modes are uninspired. The characters feel really uninspired, um, and I don't know. It's kind of like you release a game in a market that's already really saturated, right? You got to do something. You got to do
Hmm.
something to be like, hey, play us, not them. And the impression I've been getting is this game doesn't quite have that something, at least not from what we've seen so far.
It's aggressively generic. It feels
Yeah.
like Battleborn, because I liked Battleborn. I enjoyed
Battleborn,
playing
yeah.
Battleborn, but then Battleborn came out right as Overwatch was coming out, and Overwatch ate its
Mhm.
lunch in every way because it was way cooler. And even if it was just PvP and didn't have the fun MOBA style aspects that I actually preferred in Battleborn,
Yep.
now this is coming out in against Marvel Rivals, which is free to play, hits IP
Yep.
nostalgia that this can never
Yep.
hit, and just even if it doesn't play better, even if it plays worse, people are gonna be
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, but I'm Spider-Man. I don't give a shit. I'm not generic Guardians
Exactly.
of the Galaxy looking guy. I am Spider-Man. Why
Uh,
would I give a shit that this doesn't play as good? I'm Doctor Strange. I love that guy."
Interesting. This being a new IP might hurt it more than
Mhm.
help. You know, people keep
That's
saying new IP, new IP, new IP,
Yeah,
but
people want new IP, except for they ignore most of them. Like they don't actually buy new
exactly.
IPs. That's why did Inside Out 2 make a quadrillion dollars? It's because like it was this
Seriously.
thing that people loved. It made way more than it did originally because that's the way it always ends up going. Like you have to
Yep.
once you get a new IP that does okay, then that's why they focus on it, and people get mad that they focus on it. It's like, well, no, they have to. They have to focus on it
Yep.
because people
Yep.
won't buy most new things, which makes it really difficult to survive, especially in
And
this
like
industry right now.
it's again didn't even mention it, but it's got to be mentioned. We're comparing it to Rivals. Fragpunk had a beta that people thought was actually pretty decent.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a game doing something a little different, right? It has its own twist on the mechanics. Overwatch 2 continues to do really well, guys. I remember I put
Yeah,
on a trailer for the latest update for a friend. He's like, "Oh man, who still plays this game? No one plays it."
everyone.
30 seconds later, he sees Reinhardt transform into Optimus Prime. He's like, I need to buy this. I got to play this."
Yeah,
People still play this game.
they're up over 100 million players now for Overwatch 2.
Exactly.
Like there's always this prevailing thing in games coverage, and those who follow us, thank you for following, by the way. But if
Yes.
people in games coverage aren't playing something, then they
Mhm.
start to assume that no one is.
Or if their friends aren't playing it.
Yeah,
They're
it's
like,
like,
"Oh,
well,
if
I
I'm not
used
playing
to
it, my
play
friends are
this.
playing it."
My
Yeah.
team that used to play this aren't playing this, so it's dead. It's like it's dead for you, absolutely, and it might be dead overall in some ways. But as far as like actual, God, is it
Yes.
really a rocket launching using lady that hovers in Concord? You gotta be kidding me. Um, as far as like the actual health of the game, it seems fine. It might not be nearly as big, but it's also impossible to stay that way unless you just have this entire publishing arm and completely dedicated to updates like they do with
Yeah.
Fortnite and Epic. That's an entire publisher. That's the only thing they do anymore is a couple of modes for a single game. That's because Epic used to do a bunch of different stuff, and now they don't. And
Yep.
they canceled their
Yep.
Unreal Tournament, and they it's
Like,
very frustrating.
Austin in chat mentions the game is a ton of fun, and I don't doubt that at all. Because again, it's made by ex-Bungie developers. They know how how
Yep.
shooting works really well, and it looks like it's really fun shooting wise. But is it enough? It's a $40 game. The rest, every other competitor it has is free to play, right? It's a $40 game US. Does it do enough to warrant people not just buying it? Because you can't just buy it, right? A game like this, you need to buy it and then keep people buying more things or playing for a while, right? Halo Infinite was super fun. It was great. People loved it for the first 2-3 months. Nothing released. They had no content pipeline. People stopped playing, right? Will Concord keep it up? Maybe. Helldivers 2 had a great launch. Even that's gotten pretty low now, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's really hard. Like Helldivers probably wasn't super expensive, so it's not like it
Yes.
cost
Yes.
they lost money or anything. Now it still made a ton of money. It was
Oh,
super.
it definitely made a ton. Oh,
It's just maintaining that is almost impossible if you're not GTA 5, Minecraft, Roblox.
Yeah.
The handful of select games that can just keep going for an extended period of time. There's really not many of them. And
Yeah.
penetrating that bubble, even for a little while, is cool, like X Defiant did.
Yes.
But doing it for a long time is almost impossible.
And
That's-
there's so many games. We just got Splitgate 2 was just announced today, right? There's a lot of games coming out. And also, it's doing class based, which is hilarious. Because I remember people threw their fit when they heard that Halo was considering moving to class-based shooting. God.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a really uphill.
I hope
really
it does
uphill
all right.
climb.
I hope for the dev's sake. It is going to be one of those games that would benefit the most from being everywhere, but it's not going to
Right. Yep.
happen, and that's what also hurts because Marvel Rivals will be everywhere and probably cross-play and cross-buy everywhere. Like, it's going to be it's a very tough road to hoe. It's kind of like when
exactly.
Horizon keeps going up against generational titles. It's like
Yeah, straight up,
makes
right?
things way harder, even if the
Can we
game
get
itself
Horizon
is
3
really
already?
good.
Yeah, man. It's rough. But okay, that is the news for the last 3 or 4 days or so,
Mhm.
roughly.
Yeah, generally
Um,
since the show ends on Tuesday through the show begins on Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So only a couple of days. I guess there's still a fair bit of stuff to always
Yeah,
talk about.
and then like we'll hit up more on the podcast this Saturday, one that's actually going to have all three of us. Crazily enough,
Nice. Wait, you and Nick and John are on the same podcast
I
again?
know. And then
In 84 years.
1 week from now, July 26th, Friday, starting at 7 a.m., we're doing our second subathon to try and really push towards our goals for Gamescom. Because everything's super expensive, even if we've been lucky enough to find some cheaper deals, still real pricey overall. So
Travel.
yeah, it'll be on this channel next Friday. We got we got everything booked. My flight's booked, his flight's booked, John's flight's booked, Nick's flight's booked. Nick paid a lot of money to make his flight better.
Oh dang, Nick's flight's booked, huh?
Yeah, and he paid
right.
he like doubled the friggin' price to get a better airline.
He actually
himself.
went for
yeah,
my god.
because he's flying 20 hours. So
Yeah, but I mean, come on. It's
he's particular and he has the money. So it's up to him.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. You're right. Yeah, if
we
you
have
it.
not broken
Power.
our budget on him. Our budget for him is the same as it was, but he wanted to upgrade.
That's good.
So
That's
all on
good.
him. We've got our Airbnb booked with its 11 friggin' beds throughout this.
Really excited
Yeah.
about that. Airbnbs are so much more fun than friggin' hotel rooms.
Yeah. So it'll be nuts. We'll be doing a live podcast from John's house the weekend before Gamescom. Got lots to announce. If we hit all of our goals, we might lightly tease Secret Project. Again, Secret Project is a thing that John and Predrag have been working on and building up off on the side. It's not video game coverage related or anything like that. It's their own thing. So keep an eye out for that. It's not too far away
not a new
from
Halo
being
game,
announced. No, we are a very tiny team just working on stuff on our own. We don't have any partners.
Yeah.
God, podcast on Saturday, subathon next Friday. Aarsal closed his window, so it's just me now, spread out across 2 screens on StreamYard. Oh, hey, he's back. Move yourself over.
Again,
I'll do it.
refresh.
Boop. There we go. But yes, so that is it. We've got there's not a ton more coming out this month. We really covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
So maybe I will try and finally build this giant fucking thing.
Yo.
We'll see. It's gonna take a long time. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you had the pretty cool setup last time with like the aerial camera.
Yeah, I moved this thing and aim it down and then just have my phone hooked up so I can have that from the other side. So I'll try and build that. We'll see. It's going to take a long time and I can't leave it around because the cats will play with it. It's going to take me like 20 hours probably. But yeah, thank you for joining me, Aarsal. It was a lot of fun as always. Unlike with John.
Thanks for having me. And for those watching, you guys got like 3 or 4 great Game Pass games that just released. Give them a play.
5.
Thanks for watching. 5, yeah, you're right. And Kunitsukamii is tomorrow, I think. Holy crap, what a week.
Yep, Flintlock just went live. So
God damn. Okay, yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao for now.